Been on Galactic Unistation for 3 weeks, and he still had no friends. It was not for lack of trying. Every morning he smiled at his neighbors in the hallway. Every afternoon he waved at in the research wing. Every evening he sat alone in the cafeteria, watching groups of aliens chat and laugh at tables far away from his. Always moved away from him, not rudely, not obviously, but consistently, like water flowing around a rock. First thought it was a cultural thing. He had read all the briefing documents before leaving Earth. Different species had different customs. They did not like loud noises. They preferred formal greetings. They were shy around strangers. He tried to follow every rule. He spoke softly. He bowed when appropriate. He kept his distance. Nothing worked. He sat at his usual table in the corner of the cafeteria. The room was large and circular, with tall windows showing the stars outside. Dozens of aliens filled the space. Diplomats with their tall, thin bodies and skin like frosted glass. Security officers with hard shells that clicked when they walked. Small, feathered scientists who chirped softly to each other. None of them sat within 10 meters of. Sidon opened his bag. Inside was a small treasure. A can of soda, real soda imported from Earth at ridiculous cost. His mother had sent him a care package last month, and he had been saving this can for a bad day. Day qualified? Took the can. It was red and white with Korean letters on the side. Just looking at it made him feel a little less alone, a little piece of home in this strange place. Put his finger under the tab. He pulled, and opened with a sharp sound, a hiss of escaping gas, a metallic pop that echoed off the cafeteria walls. For 1 second, nothing happened, and the world went crazy. Diplomat screamed, not a small scream, a scream that seemed to come from her entire body. She threw herself sideways, knocking over her chair, and crawled under the nearest table. Officers dropped their food trays. The trays crashed to the floor with a loud clatter. The officers did not notice. They were already running, their shells clicking frantically as they scrambled for the exits. But near the window scattered like startled birds. They did not run for the doors. They ran for the walls. They pressed themselves flat against the metal surfaces, their feathers puffed out in pure terror. In 5 seconds, every alien in the cafeteria was either hiding, running, or frozen in fear. Completely still, the soda can was still in his hand. Cold liquid dripped onto his fingers. Look left, empty chairs, overturned tables, abandoned food. Look right, was actually crying under a table, her translucent skin flashing with colors of distress. He looked down at his soda. What he said to no one just happened. Lights began flashing. An alarm screamed through the station. A voice announced something in a language did not understand, but the tone was clear. Emergency. Danger. Threat. Footsteps thundered in the hallway. The cafeteria door burst open. A squad of security officers rushed in, led by a massive one with a shell the color of dark bronze. They carried weapons. Actual weapons. Pointed at. Not move, the lead officer shouted. His name was, though did not know that yet. Drop the device. Look at the soda can. This is just. Drop it now. The can down very slowly. He raised his hands. His heart was pounding, but his training kicked in. Stay calm. Do not make sudden movements. Show you are not a threat. Do not understand, he said carefully. I was only opening a drink. Closer, his weapon still raised. His eyes, all 4 of them, were fixed on the soda can like it might explode. What kind of drink makes that sound? Demanded. What kind of drink released pressurized gas? That was a detonation signature, small but clear. His carbonation said, Bubbles, it is completely harmless. Not lower his weapon. Humans, he muttered, you bring weapons everywhere. It is not a weapon, I promise. It is flavored water with bubbles. I can drink it right now to prove. Do not touch it. Standoff might have continued for hours, but then a new voice cut through the chaos. Calm, clear, tired. Officer, stand down. One walked into the cafeteria. She was in her early 30s, with short black hair and a face that showed no fear. Her name was Sora, and she was the senior human ambassador on the station. To her, ambassador, this human activated some kind of. Opened a soda can. Sora walked past the security officers like they were not holding weapons. She reached the table, picked up the can, and took a long drink. See, completely safe, it is a beverage. Humans drink these every day. At your drink, his 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Slowly, he lowered his weapon. Beverage, he repeated, that makes an explosion sound. Small pop, Sora said. The gas inside is under pressure. When you open it, the pressure releases. It is basic chemistry. Looked at his officers. They looked back at him. No one seemed to know what to do. Turned to the room. Aliens were slowly coming out of hiding, crawling from under tables, peeing themselves off walls. All of them stared at the 2 humans with a mixture of fear and confusion. Apologize for the disturbance, Sora announced. Her voice was professional and warm. There is no danger. Please return to your meals. No one moved. Or sighed, she looked at, come with me, we need to talk. Stood up. He grabbed his soda can because it felt wrong to leave it. As he followed Sora toward the exit, he passed a table where a diplomat was still hiding. She watched him go with wide, frightened eyes. In her hand, she held a small tablet. She was already typing. Report 47, she wrote. Human designation. Action, activated unknown device during meal period. Result, station-wide panic. Casualties, none physical. Psychological damage, severe. Recommendation, immediate review of human clearance levels. Paused, then added one more line. So note, I am beginning to believe humans should be classified as a galactic threat. They do not even know what they are. Walked out of the cafeteria, still holding his soda. He had no idea that behind him, an alien was writing a report that would change his life. He knew was that he had somehow started a war by opening a drink. The galactic count chamber was designed to make everyone feel small. The ceiling rose 30 meters high. The walls curved inward like the inside of an egg. Floating platforms held representatives from dozens of species, all looking down at the single podium in the center. Stood at the podium, she did not feel small. She felt tired. Let me understand correctly, said the council speaker, an ancient whose skin had turned almost completely clear with age. You are saying the human activated a pressurized container filled with acidic liquid, and you consider this normal behavior? Yes, Sora said. The container made an explosive sound. Small pop. Witnesses describe it as terrifying. Took a breath. With respect, speaker, the witnesses were startled by an unfamiliar sound. Humans have been drinking carbonated beverages for over 200 years. It has never been classified as a weapon. Platform high above spoke. Her voice was sharp with frustration. The classification is not the point, Ambassador. The point is that humans consistently cause panic through actions you consider normal. There was incident number 47 since your delegation arrived. 47 incidents in 3 weeks. Most of those incidents were sneezing, Sora said flatly. Species expels air from its face at high velocity without warning. Multiple have required medical attention. For shock, not injury. Psychological damage is still damage. Chamber filled with murmuring. Sar could see the other representatives talking among themselves. She knew what they were saying. The humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too strange. Weeks of careful diplomacy, threatened by a soda can. Straightened her back. Council members, I understand your concerns. Humans are new to galactic society. Our biology and culture are unfamiliar to you, but I promise you we mean no harm, was simply enjoying a drink. He did not know the sound would frighten anyone. He feels terrible about what happened. Perhaps, the speaker said slowly, humans should be restricted to their quarters until proper safety protocols can be established. Or was Jardine, you want to confine us. For everyone's safety, including yours. Vote was quick, 12 in favor, 3 against, 2 abstaining. Starting immediately, all humans on Galactic Unistation were restricted to the residential wing. They could not enter common areas, workspaces, or social zones without armed escort. For their own safety. Walked out of the chamber with her head high. She did not let her anger show until she was alone in the hallway. Then she leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. It was not how first contact was supposed to go. The residential wing sat on his bed and stared at the wall. His room was small and gray. There was a window, but it only showed more gray. The station's hull, metal and emptiness. Knock on his door made him jump. Come in, he said. Door slid open. A small figure stood in the hallway, feathered and nervous. Recognized her. She was one of the scientists who worked in the research wing. He had seen her in the cafeteria sometimes, always at the farthest table from his. Hello, she said. Her voice was soft and musical. My name is May I enter? In 3 weeks, no alien had voluntarily come to his door. Of course, please. Inside, she moved carefully like she was ready to run at any moment. Her feathers were pressed flat against her body, a sign of fear remembered from his training. Wanted to ask you something, said, about the incident yesterday. So can? Yes, I have been researching human beverage since then. I do not understand, she tilted her head. You willingly drink liquid that contains acid and pressurized gas. The liquid attacks your tooth and nail. The gas causes discomfort in your digestive system. Why would you do this? Almost laughed. Of all the questions he expected, that was not one of them, because it tastes good. Stared at him, it tastes good. And the bubbles feel nice, sort of tingly. Tingly? Your tongue, it is hard to explain. It was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She sat down, not near the door ready to escape, on the chair across from his bed, like she intended to stay. It's all very strange, she said. Your bodies are strange, your behaviors are strange. Everything about you is strange. I know, Sid, I'm sorry. Not apologize, I am not complaining. Feathers slowly relaxed just a little. I'm a scientist. Strange things are interesting to me. Most of my colleagues are too afraid to study humans directly. I'm also afraid, but I am more curious than afraid. For the first time in 3 weeks, smiled. A real smile. I am glad someone is curious. Talked for an hour, asked about human biology. Why did humans have forward-facing eyes? Because we evolved as hunters, explained. We needed to track prey. Shuddered at that, but she did not leave. Did humans show their teeth when happy? It was just how smiling worked, said. He tried to demonstrate a non-teeth smile, but said it looked even more frightening. Why did humans crack their knuckles? Did not have a good answer for that one. It just felt satisfying. The end of the conversation was no longer pressing her feathers flat. She was still nervous, but she was also fascinated, and was no longer alone. While in the security wing, sat at his desk and read. Files were classified. He had used his security clearance to access them. Reports about Earth, reports about human history, reports that most species preferred not to think about. It had fought wars for thousands of years. Not just wars between nations, wars between ideas, wars between religions, wars between people who looked almost exactly the same. Weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. They had built machines specifically designed to kill as many of their own kind as possible. And then, somehow, they had decided to stop. To build instead of destroy, to reach for the stars instead of burning their world. Not understand. How could a species so violent be unpeaceful? How could predators choose to be kind? Found a document called Military History of Humanity. He started reading. Halfway through, he had stopped. His hands were shaking. Creatures, he thought. These small, soft, fragile creatures. They survived Ice Age by chasing animals until the animals died of exhaustion. They hunted creatures 10 times their size with sticks and rocks and patience. They conquered every environment on their planet through sheer stubbornness. Now they were here, on his station, owing soda cans and smiling with their teeth. It was the file. He turned off his screen. He sat in the dark for a long time. Will not sleep tonight, he thought, maybe not for many nights. Her quarters finished her report. She read it one more time. Every word was precise. Every argument was logical. The conclusion was clear. If were dangerous, they should be removed from the station, from galactic society entirely, before someone got hurt. Typed the report into an official request and sent it to the council. She looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning. A small blue world full of strange, terrifying creatures who drank acid for fun and smiled with the teeth of predators. What have we invited into our galaxy, she wondered. Restrictions lasted exactly 4 days before the council realized their mistake. Problem was simple. Humans were part of the station's workforce. They had jobs, important jobs. Me was the only engineer who understood the new cooling systems. Without him, 3 laboratories overheated, 2 experiments were ruined, a very expensive machine melted. Council quietly lifted the restrictions. Humans could move freely again, but they asked Ambassador to ensure her people were careful. Promised? She did not mention that she had no idea how to make humans less frightening. They could not stop breathing. They could not stop blinking. They could not change their biology. They could only try to exist more quietly. It did not work. The first day back, Minu attended a routine meeting with alien engineers. Halfway through, he yawned. It had been a long night. He was tired. The yawn was automatic. His mouth opened wide. His teeth showed all of them for 3 full seconds. Engineers fainted. 2 more ran from the room. The meeting was cancelled. He stood there confused as metal teams rushed in. I was just tired, he said to no one. I did not mean anything. The same day, walked through a crowded hallway. A bead of dust flowed into his nose. Before he could stop it, he sneezed. Sound was like a small explosion. Had always had loud sneezes. His mother used to joke that he could wake the neighbor. Security officer grabbed his weapon. A screamed and fell over. An elderly clutched her chest and had to be taken to medical for heart palpitation. Jized 17 times. He offered to carry her to the medical bay himself. This made things worse. The idea of a human carrying an alien somewhere made everyone panic more. The third day, Sora attended a formal dinner with council representatives. She was on her best behavior. She spoke softly. She kept her teeth hidden. She did not make any sudden movement. And after sitting still for 2 hours, she read. It was a small stretch, just raising her arms above her head and arching her back. A simple thing. A thing every human does without thinking. The aliens, it looked like a predator displaying its size before an attack. 3 representatives fled the room, actually screamed. Put her arm down immediately. I apologize, my muscles were stiff. Our muscles were threatening us, said her voice shaking. I was not threatening anyone. Your body was. Zora had no answer for that. I had sat in his laboratory. They had started meeting regularly. Was working on a research paper about human biology. Was her primary source. Do not understand, said. He was frustrated. More frustrated than he had been in weeks. We are not trying to scare anyone. We are just existing. Why is that so terrifying? Said her instruments. She was measuring his heartbeat. It was slow and steady like a drum, like a predator at rest. Must understand our perspective, she said gently. Most species in the galaxy evolved as prey. We are small. We are fragile. We survive by being alert, by noticing danger, by running before the predator could catch us. But we are not predators, not anymore. Biology does not know that, pointed its face. Your eyes are in the front of your head. Prey animals have eyes on the sides. We can see in all directions. You can only see forward because you evolved to chase things. Pointed at his mouth. You have flat teeth for grinding plants, yes, but you all have sharp teeth, canines, for tearing meat. Prey animals do not have those. Pointed at his chest. Your heartbeat is slow, ours are fast. A slow heartbeat means endurance. It means you can chase prey for hours without getting tired. Do you know what early humans used to do? They would chase an animal until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would kill it. This is called persistence hunting. It's quiet. He had learned about persistence hunting in school. He had never thought about how it might look to others. Afraid of you because our bodies tell us to be afraid, continued. It is not logical. It is instinct. Millions of years of evolution screaming at us to run. But we would never hurt you. Others rumbled softly. I believe you, but believing is hard when every cell in my body says you are a threat. He sat in silence for a while. Outside the laboratory window, the stars drifted slowly past. And the alarm started. The small alarms, not the yellow lights that meant minor problems, red lights flashing everywhere, and a sound he'd never heard before, a deep pulsing tone that seemed to vibrate in his bones. What is that? He asked. Feathers went completely flat, her eyes went wide. That is the invasion alarm. Invasion? Who would? Claw, voice was barely a whisper. Pirates, raiders, they attack stations on the outer rim. They take everything valuable. They kill anyone who resists. Stood up. We need to get somewhere safe. There's nowhere safe, not from them. Was shaking now. They are ruthless. They do not negotiate. They do not take prisoners. They just. They shook. Something had hit at something big. Grabbed arm. Come with me. We need to find the others. Ran through the hallways. Chaos was everywhere. Aliens were screaming, running, hiding. Security officers were trying to organize evacuations, but there were too many people and too much fear. The command center was staring at the screen. His 4 eyes were wide. His shell had gone pale. 20 ships, he said to no one. They brought 20 ships. We have 4 security vessels. We cannot fight this. So I pushed through the crowd to reach him. How long until they board? Minutes, maybe less. What is the plan? To look at her. For a moment, his fear was replaced by something else. Confusion. The plan is to surrender, to give them what they want. I hope they leave survivors. That is not a plan. That is giving up. What else can we do? We are not warriors. None of us are warriors. It was quiet. Around her, the stage trembled. The riven claw was cutting through the hull. They would be inside soon. Thought about her team. 12 humans on this station. 12 humans who had spent weeks being feared for simply existing. 12 humans whose very presence made aliens run and hide. Maybe she thought it was time to give them something real to be afraid of. And her communicator. All human personnel that is ambassador. Report to Airlock 7 immediately. Full emergency protocol. Stared at her. What are you doing? Our job, Source said, protecting the station. Cannot fight them. There are hundreds of riven claw raiders. You are 12 people. Smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator who had finally decided to stop pretending. You are 12 humans, she said. That will be enough. Walked toward the airlock. Behind her, watched her go. He remembered the files he had read, the military history, the persistence hunting, the wars and weapons and endless stubborn survival. For the first time since the alarm started, he felt something other than fear. He felt sorry for the riven claw. Riven claw breached the station at 4 points. Through the airlocks like a wave, dozens of raiders armed and armored, their faces hidden behind masks. They were a mix of species, outcasts and criminals from across the galaxy, united by violence and greed. Expected fear. They expected screaming. They expected easy prey running in circles while they took what they wanted. They did not expect Minu standing in the middle of the corridor with a wrench in his hand. Hello, Minu said pleasantly. Can I help you? Raider laughed. He was tall with 4 arms and scales covering his body. Look at this. A human. I have heard of your kind. Soft, fragile. I will enjoy breaking you. That is not very polite, Minu said. Raider charred. He was fast. His 4 arms reached for Minu like grasping claws. He stepped to the side, just a small step, casual, almost lazy. The Raider's momentum carried him forward. Minu brought the wrench down on the back of his neck. The Raider hit the floor and did not get up. The Raiders stopped. They stared at their leader, unconscious on the ground. They stared at the human who was still holding his wrench like nothing had happened. Spent 6 years in the military, Minu said, before I became an engineer. Would anyone else like to try? They tried. It did not go well for them. At Airlock 7, Sora gathered her team, 12 humans. Most were scientists or diplomats. They were not soldiers, but they were human and that meant something. Listen carefully, Sora said. The Riven Claw does not know what we are capable of. They think we are weak because we are small. They think we are scared because they have weapons. They are wrong. Looked at each of them. Was there, pale but determined. 2 researchers named and Park stood together, holding pipes they had pulled from the walls. An older man named had found a fire extinguisher. We do not need to win, Sora continued. We need to slow them down. Give the station time to seal the important areas. Protect the civilians. Can you do that? Everyone nodded. And let us show them what humans can do. The first wave of raiders came through airlock 7 30 seconds later. They were confident. They were laughing. They did not expect resistance. The first one with the fire extinguisher, not with the spray. With the metal tank itself swung like a club, the raider went down hard and was already moving to the next one. Worked together. When a raider grabbed, broke his arm with her pipe. When another tried to flank, kicked his legs out from under him. They moved like dancers, covering each other, never stopping. Was 63 years old and had bad knees, calmly sprayed fire suppressant into a raider's face, then kicked him down a stairwell. And Sora was everywhere. Did not fight like the others. She fought like she was born for it. Every movement was precise. Every strike was efficient. When a raider swung at her, she was not there. When she hit back, they did not get up. Raiders had numbers, they had weapons. They had experience in violence. The humans had something else. They did not stop. Raider shot in the arm. The blast burned through his sleeve and scorched his skin, looked at the wound. Then he looked at the raider. That hurt, he said. And he kept fighting. Took a knife to the shoulder. She pulled it out, used it to cut a raider's mask straps, and then hit him so hard his helmet cracked. You, 3/4 away, had a broken rib. He had figured this out when breathing started to hurt. He did not tell anyone. He just wrapped his chest with electrical tape and kept swinging his wrench. Aliens watching from the safe room could not believe what they were seeing. The security cameras showed everything. 12 humans, injured and exhausted, fighting hundreds of raiders. And winning? Watch from the command center. Her hands were pressed against the screen like she could reach through it. They are not stopping, she whispered. Why are they not stopping? Beside her, he had sent his security teams to support the humans, but by the time they arrived, there was often nothing left to do. The humans had already handled it. Because they cannot stop, Sid quietly. I read about this. Humans do not know how to give up. Their bodies can be broken, but they will cannot. They keep fighting until they win or they die. There is no middle ground. That is insane. Yes, it is. Watch Sora take down 3 raiders in 4 seconds. It is completely insane, and it is magnificent. The main cargo bay, the Riven Clock Manor, was getting reports from his teams. None of the reports made sense. Team 1 was down, all of them. Team 2 had retreated after losing half their numbers. Team 3 reported fighting a human who would not stop smiling, even after being stabbed twice. What is happening? The commander demanded. It is one station with minimal defenses. How are we losing? Humans, sir, his lieutenant said. They are different. Different how? Do not act like prey. They do not run. They do not freeze. They fight. And when you hurt them, they fight harder. Commander was silent. He had raided 100 stations. He had never encountered anything like this. Back, he ordered finally. All teams pull back to the ships. We are leaving. Sir, we have not taken in cargo. Do not care about cargo. I care about not dying. Pull back now. Retreat was chaos. Raiders ran for the airlocks, no longer laughing. They pushed each other aside, desperate to escape. Behind them, humans followed, not chasing, just watching, making sure they left. Quarter 7 stood over a pile of unconscious raiders. His arm was burned. His face was bruised. His entire body ached. But he was smiling. Let him emerge from a safe room. She had been trapped there during the fighting. A raider had almost found her. Would have found her if it had not appeared and thrown the raider through a wall. Save me, he said. Her voice was strained, not frightened, not angry, just confused. Why? Looked at her. His smile faded into something softer. Because you needed help. But I wrote reports about you. I tried to have you removed from the station. I called you a threat. I know. Then why? About it, his arm hurt. Everything hurt. But somehow he felt better than he had in weeks. Because that is what humans do, he said finally. We help people, even people who are afraid of us, even people who do not like us. We help anyway. Stared at him. Then she did something she had never done with a human before. Reached out and touched his hand, just for a moment. Her fingers were cool against his burned skin. Thank you, he said. The cargo bay, Sora watched the last Ravenclaw ship pull away. Her team gathered around her. 12 humans battered and bleeding, but alive. Pulled out a small can from her pocket, a soda. She had been saving it for an emergency. This counted. Cracked it open. The familiar hiss-pop echoed through the empty bay. No one ran, no one screamed, no one dived for cover. Aliens watching from the security cameras just stared, and slowly, one by one, they started to understand. Sound was not a threat. A month after the siege, Galactic Unistation was different. Repairs were finished. The damaged quarters had been rebuilt. The broken airlocks had been replaced. But the real change was not in the walls or the wires. The real change was in the people. Through the cafeteria at lunchtime, the room was full like always. Diplomats chatted at their tables. Officers ate their meals in neat, organized rows. Scientists compared notes between mates. For the first time since he arrived, no one moved away. In fact, a diplomat waved at him. Officer nodded in greeting. A young actually stood up and walked over. You, they asked. His feathers were bright with curiosity. I read doctor's paper about human biology. Is it true you can run for hours without stopping? Well, yes, but you can eat plants that are poisonous to most species, and your bodies repair themselves after damage. And held up his hands, laughing. One question at a time, please. Young apologized and off to get his notebook. Shook his head, still smiling. A month ago, that same species would have run from him. Now they were running toward him. Strange how things changed. The training room faced me across a practice mat. Both were in exercise clothes. Both were sweating. They had been at this for an hour. Again said, you nod? He stepped forward, his movements slow and deliberate. Watched carefully. He had been studying human combat techniques for weeks now. He was determined to learn. He moved. It was a simple combination. A step, a turn, an arm movement, nothing complicated. But when tried to block, he was too slow. Minyu tapped him gently on the chest. You are thinking too much, Minyu said. Your body knows what to do, trust it. At a frustrated sound, his shell clicked in annoyance. Easy for you to say. Your instincts are for fighting. Mine are for running away. We changed your instincts, Minyu smiled. It was still a little frightening, all those teeth, but was getting used to it. That is what training is for, again. Practiced until neither could lift their arms. Then they sat together on the mat, drinking water and catching their breath. Oh, you an apology, he said suddenly. You looked at him, for what? When you first arrived, I thought humans were dangerous. Unpredictable, I wanted you gone. 4 eyes blinked in sequence. I was wrong. You are dangerous, yes, but you are dangerous in the right direction. You fight for others, not against them. He was quiet for a moment, then he shrugged. We are still learning too. Most humans have never met aliens before. We did not know we were scary. You are very scary. I know, I'm sorry. Not apologize. Stood up, his joints creaking. Being scary is useful. I wish I was scary. He laughed and helped him up. Give it time. You are getting better. Her laboratory finished the final revision of her paper. It was titled Understanding Human Biology, a comprehensive study for galactic citizens. It had taken weeks to write. It had been reviewed by every major scientific institution, and tomorrow it would be published across the entire galaxy. It explained everything. Why humans had forward-facing eyes, why their heartbeats were slow, why they could take damage and keep moving, why they smiled with their teeth and laughed at danger and never, ever gave up. Explained that humans were not threats. They were a miracle, a species that had evolved to be the most stubborn, enduring, and possible creatures in the known universe, and somehow, against all odds, they had chosen to be kind. The final line one more time. She had written it herself and she was proud of it. Humans are not the predators of the galaxy. They are its guardians, and we are fortunate that they found us before something worse did. Her door chimed, she looked up. But in the doorway holding 2 hairs. I brought lunch. The cafeteria was making that grain thing you like. Feathers fluffed with Agnes, you remembered. Of course I remembered. You complained about missing it for 3 days straight. He'd get her like they did most days now, talked about his work, talked about her research. Sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars drift past the window. Something for you, said finally. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small can, red and white with Korean letters on the side. Stared at him. Is that? Yes, set it on the table. I know you think it sounds dangerous. I know the idea of drinking acid in bowls seems crazy to you, but I want you to try it just once. Do not have to, I will not be offended, but I think you might like it, and I want to share it with you because you are my friend. Looked at the can for a long moment. Her feathers shifted through colors, uncertainty, fear, curiosity, and finally determination. Open it, she said. Up the can. He put his finger under the tab. He looked at one more time. Ready? She nodded. He pulled. It opened with a sharpest pop. The sound echoed through the laboratory. Flinched, but she did not run. She did not scream. She just watched us pour a small amount into a cup and held it out to her. It is cold, she said, taking the cup. Yes, it tastes better cold. The bubbles are moving. That is normal. Raised the cup to her beak. She hesitated. Then slowly she took a sip. Taste hit her first, sweet and sharp and strange. Then the bowl. They danced on her tongue, tiny explosion of invasion. She made a small sound of pride. Well asked. Her feathers were standing straight up. Her eyes were wide. It is disgusting, he said. Face fell. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought. I want more. What? Another sip, and another. She drained the entire cup, her feathers ruffling with each swallow. When she was done, she set the cup down and stared at it like it had betrayed her. It's terrible, she said. It burned my mouth. It makes my stomach feel strange. I think I might be dying. She looked at, please pour me another. After a real laugh, bright and loud, he refilled her cup. She drank it again, complaining the entire time. This, he thought, is what friendship looks like. In the council chamber, Sar stood at the central podium. The representatives flowed on their platforms above her just like before, but the atmosphere was different. There was no fear in the room, no tension, just attention. Do not want to be feared, Sor said. Her voice carried through the chamber. We never wanted that. We are clumsy. We are loud. We are strange in ways we do not even understand. But we are not your enemies. Looked up at the assembled species. Dozens of others, all watching, all listening. Evolved to survive, she continued. Our planet was harsh. Our history was violent. We fought to exist and we became good at fighting. But we also became good at something else. We became good at protecting, at helping, at standing between the weak and the strong. Thought of the siege, of her team battered and bleeding still fighting, of saving, of me training, of drinking soda and complaining. I'm not asking you to stop being afraid of us. Fear is instinct, we understand. But we are asking you to give us a chance. Let us prove that humans can be allies, partners, friends. Chamber was silent, then slowly the speaker rose. Council has already made its decision, the speaker said. Based on recent events, we are expanding the human integration program. More humans will be welcomed to stations across the galaxy, not as threats to be watched, but as allies to be trusted. Sir blinked. Already I did not know. Decision was unanimous. The speaker's ancient face shifted into something that might have been a smile. It seems you proved your point before you even made it. Chamber filled with applause. Not loud because most species found loud sounds unpleasant, but warm, sincere, welcoming. I stood at the podium and let herself feel it. The acceptance, the belonging, the future. We made it, she thought. We actually made it. Later, a new shuttle arrived at Galactic Uni Station. It carried 12 more humans, scientists, engineers, diplomats, all of them nervous, all of them excited. As they stepped off the shuttle, one of them pulled out a drink, a can of soda. He cracked it open without thinking. His pop echoed through the arrival bay. The alien in the room tensed. Old instincts fired. Fear flickered in eyes and feathers and shell. Then someone laughed. She was standing near the exit watching the new arrivals, and she was laughing. Welcome to Galactic Uni Station, he said. I see you have brought your strange exploding drinks. The human looked confused. The one with the soul glanced at his skin nervously. Is this not allowed? Walked over to him. She was still smiling, not afraid, not threatened, just amused. It's allowed, she said, but be warned. We have learned about humans now. We know what you are. We know what you can do. She tilted her head. And we know that your exploding drinks are delicious, even though they are probably poisonous. The human stared at her. Then slowly they started to relax. One of them, a young woman named Han, held up her own soda can. Would you like one? Old fears whispered in her mind, but she remembered the siege. She remembered everything that had changed. Yes, she said, I believe I would. Took the can. She opened it herself. The hiss-pop made a few aliens nearby flinch, but no one ran. Raised the can and I'm all toast. Friends, she said, and to humans, the strangest, scariest, most wonderful species in the galaxy. Drank, it was terrible, she loved it. Somewhere in the station, watching on a security camera, smiled. With his teeth hidden, not carefully, just a real honest human smile. It finally found its place among the stars. It was a victory. It had no idea what they were about to face. Did not know that in a few weeks she would have her answer. And it would not be what she expected. And he still did not have any friends.